So just partial throttle. Super responsive. I'm gonna pop it in the manual mode here. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm gonna be going over the all-new Hyundai Elantra N-Line. Before we get into this video though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Murdoch Hyundai here in Linden, Utah for giving me some time with this Elantra N-Line. This particular one is available for sale for the time being, so if you're interested, I'll include a link to their inventory in the description down below. If you have any questions or need any help, just ask for Spencer. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money, the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's dive right into it. So under the hood, we have a turbocharged 1.6 liter 4-cylinder that goes through a 7-speed dual clutch automatic. Fuel economy is 28 around town and then 36 on the highway, with power outputs being 201 horsepower and then 195 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, you guys can see really sharp lines there on either side. You got the Hyundai logo front and center as well. And then popping down below, look at the daytime running light there. We do have halogen headlights, and then the trim down here all blacked out to match the blacked out front grille. And putting it all together, this thing just looks amazing. Camera on the side here, tire wheel setup is 235/40/18 in the front and over in the rear as well. And then look at the wheel design here with the silver on the top and then the black below it. Looks really aggressive and it works with this package. So we've got our cool N-Line badge right here. Mirror cap all blacked out. Notice the window trim is also all blacked out. And then we've got this side skirt here on the side, which is also blacked out. And putting it all together, this looks super sharp. It definitely stands out quite a bit. Now, taking a look at the key fob, you guys can see we've got our lock function or unlock, remote start, and then the opening here for the trunk as well as the Hyundai logo there in the back. So we'll hold this, bada bing, bada boom. Now actually popping into the trunk area, you guys can see we've got this cargo net here in the back, and then look how much storage space there is in the rear. Even though the Elantra is not a massive car, it's got quite a bit of storage. We've got this blacked out spoiler here on the back, and then you guys can see with the Hyundai logo, and then we have the cool Elantra light bar here, which I think looks fantastic with the Elantra logo just down below. And then notice how everything's blacked out here at the bottom, and pretty aggressive looking exhaust tips. And finishing things up with the exterior, I actually really like this design, and I think I like this more than the Elantra N because it's just a little bit more subtle and I guess mature is the best way to put it. This is pretty cool on the side here. Now taking a look at the door panel, we've got some padding here at the top, and you guys can see our window control down below, and then you got some decent storage, and I like how the handle is actually darker in coloration. And then taking a look at the seats, we got some red stitching there at the top, and then you guys can see the cloth trim all down the center, and then I like this pattern here on the side, and then here's a closer look at that red stitching. Legroom here in the back of the Elantra is actually very solid. I mean, for being such a small car, it's so spacious. The headroom's also great. And would you look at this? Cup holder armrest. Now diving into the front door panel, first off, you guys can see that red stitching continues, kind of a theme with this car. We've got all of our window controls right here. Notice our door lock and unlock with our mirror adjustments, and then there's a quick look at the mirrors. They also have blind spot monitoring. And then the front seat also has a really cool look. Notice we've got the N logo there at the top, and then I love this design here on the side. And then popping down below, you can see that cool theme continues, and then the seat is also power adjustable. They even give you pretty fancy looking pedals as well. And then this is for your lane departure, your stability control, and then if you guys are running, the steering wheel itself is manually adjustable. Now taking a look at the steering wheel, you guys can see really nice padding all around, and it's perforated here on the side so that not only does it feel cooler, but it also looks cooler as well. Red stitching here in the center, and then you guys can see another N logo there at the bottom. Really nice feeling paddle shifters here on the back. Most cars will just have like crappy plasticky feeling ones. These ones actually feel very high quality. This does have your lane departure, or sorry, not lane departure, but steering assist with your cruise control here on this side. And then you've got your voice command phone controls on the other side. And then turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock. We have this full digital gauge cluster here in the center, and if I press that pages button, it'll let me scroll through some different menus, see different bits of info on the car. But the fun thing is changing the drive modes. So notice with the sport and the smart mode, it kind of does little animation switch between them. And That's not all. Because this is how you change the drive modes, is with this button right here. This has got to be one of the coolest things that I've just seen in a car, period. It's just like right next to it. Like, think about this. You're sitting here on the Elantra N-Line and you're like, boom. And then, well, wait, boom. There we go. That's a little bit better. Now I've got a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel, and resolution's solid. Now as for the rest of the infotainment system, response time with the screen is fantastic. Really easy to use, frankly, and it's Hyundai's infotainment screen that I've shown a million times before, so there you go. It's also connected to the gauge cluster, so kind of fancy. We've got controls here for the radio and like your volume control as well. And then you guys can see dual zone climate controls just down below that. This also has heated seats for the front passengers. We got a bunch of little charging ports here with our wireless phone charging pad. And would you look at this, we got the shifter straight out of the Elantra N. You've even got the N logo there at the top, which is kind of hard to see because of the glare from the sunlight, but now you can see it. Anyways, you've got this for the camera just to like basically pop that on. We've got a regular brake just behind it. And then you guys can see a couple cup holders and pretty normal center console. Nice padding here on top of the center console. And one thing I want to mention with the design is look at the vents here on the dash, how that kind of goes across. That looks really cool. And the dash itself also looks very nice as well. And glove box. Now this does have a manual mirror dimmer and a sunroof as well. The control for the sunroof is just right there. So here's the window sticker for this Elantra N-Line. You guys can see with the warranty, we've got a 5-year, 60,000 mile new vehicle warranty, 10-year, 100,000 mile on the powertrain. And just like most Hyundais, pretty much everything is standard equipment. We do have a couple options like the paint, for example, and I guess carpeted floor mats. Anyways, after all options, $28,930 is the total MSRP, which makes this, with a dual clutch automatic, less expensive than a Honda Civic Si. Let's drive it. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's visibility over the hood. Both of the mirrors, which you have blind spot monitoring. And throughout the rest of the rear. And, well, let us set off. I'm actually really excited to drive this car. I did not know that this package existed until I drove by and I'm like, that's a good looking Elantra. And then I'm like, wait, that's an Elantra N-Line. I'm like, what does this mean? And now I'm about to find out what this means. So just for some reference, I've driven a base model Elantra. I've also driven an Elantra N. And so I have a pretty good idea of, you know, the Elantra lineup. And so I want to talk about where this sits, you know, in terms of how it feels, and also compare this to the Honda Civic Si, because I feel like that's the staple in this segment that everyone's always thinking about when they think about, you know, an affordable, performance-y type sedan. First off, super good dual clutch. Like, it's not shaky or anything at low speeds. It's super responsive, obviously, but it's not annoying at low speeds, which I think is a huge win, because dual clutches a lot of times can be pretty obnoxious. Yeah, like getting on the brakes and everything a little bit, it doesn't do anything annoying, and it's very responsive with the powertrain. Yeah, very quick to shift here in the normal mode. I love the steering with this. There's quite a bit of feedback with it. And the steering wheel itself feels very premium. Again, especially considering the price point this is at. Handling's really good. Now, one thing I'm noticing with this compared to the Civic is this feels more like it's been tuned to be sporty, whereas the Civic, you can tell that Honda's trying to make their cars more luxury-like. And so this, it feels more like a sports sedan, whereas the Civic, I would say, feels more like a luxury sedan. Even though it's not, I wouldn't consider it a luxury car, if that makes sense, but you guys get the point, right? Yeah, I love this powertrain. I think I like this a lot more than the 4-cylinder and the SI. It's just the responsiveness of this is really good. Okay, so we're getting up and moving again. We're doing our cool drive mode shift. I love that. Hyundai comes with cool things that, like, you know, I know some people might think it's over the top, but like, we need this kind of theater in cars, especially affordable cars like this. I think it's super imperative. But yeah, brake's really good on this too. Man, just the overall tuning with this car. So just partial throttle. Super responsive. I'm gonna pop it in the manual mode here. Yeah, still very, very responsive. This transmission's good. This is a fun car. This is a very fun car. You'll see kind of the handling around here. It handles really well too. I really like this. Now, I will say this is not nearly as harsh as the Elantra N, which I think is a good thing because that car is definitely like full-on sports car. This is definitely a lot more livable. So, compared to the Civic Si, well, first off, you can get it with a really, really good automatic. You cannot say the same. Well, the SI you can only get manual, but you can get the new Acura Integra with the CVT. This is so much better. Yeah, it drives really well. So I don't know. I think I'd get this over the Civic Si, honestly. Even in automatic form, like, trust me, I'm a lover of manual transmissions. But with how this engine, like with the engine response that this has, and with how this drives, it's great. I was gonna say it's a knock out of the park. That's what we'll finish with.